Hey guys, welcome to the beginning of our next series, which will be on World War I, the Great War. We are going to look at one of the most significant conflicts in all of human history, which brought really the entire world into a war for the first time, really. Now, we have to ask ourselves, though, why did a world war happen? We've studied a lot of wars, and none of those wars led to a world war. Every one of those wars only led to small regional wars, or 1-versus-1 wars, or 1-versus-2 wars. But this is going to be different because this is going to be a war that is going to drag people in from all over the globe and really be, in a way, the first global conflict. So I'm going to talk today about 5 causes of World War I and how they kind of shaped the world around them. So number 1 is nationalism. Nationalism was this idea that countries would put their interests above all others. We see this really clearly in the Franco-Prussian War, which we already looked at, in the Sino-Japanese War, and pretty much every war we've looked at before this was an example of nationalism, where one country put their benefit over others and attacked somebody else and crushed them and took their stuff. So again, Bismarck prods the French into attacking him. As the Prussian leader, he then smashes them, unites Germany, takes Alsace and Lorraine. Hoorah, it's great for Germany. Nationalism. The United States steals Spain's colonies. It's great for the United States. But this idea means that every country is looking out for their own interests at the expense of others. And that leads to conflict, and that leads to a lot of jitteriness, and everyone's ready to pounce. Everyone's ready to attack everybody else. Nobody's thinking about global harmony. Nobody's thinking about the broader, greater good. They're all thinking about what is best for me. So, doing that one quickly because the other ones are a little more new. The next one I want to talk about is imperialism. Imperialism, again, goes right hand in hand with nationalism. I talked about it again with these other wars, especially the Spanish-American War, the Sino-Japanese War, the Russo-Japanese War. Japan is trying to build an empire in Southeast Asia and become the preeminent power. The United States is trying to build an empire around the world by taking colonies from Spain. Germany is trying to build an empire. France is trying to build an empire. Everybody at this time, after the age of exploration, is looking to see how they can take control of more of the world, gain those resources from those colonies, bring them back to their home, and be stronger. So let's look at this map, because this is Africa in 1880. Now, before 1880, Africa is nearly untouched. It's the last place to be colonized because the Europeans can't travel down their rivers because they keep running into waterfalls where they fall over and die. They can't get very far in the coast because there's not a ton of great ports, and there are diseases that kill all their horses. And so, on top of that, the Africans fight ferociously and strongly and repel them. And so, for a long time, Europe is colonizing North and South America and Asia, but not Africa. Well, Africa winds up being kind of the last land grab when finally the Europeans get some technology to get in. The steam-powered engines, railroad tracks allow them to get into the interior, and in particular, the machine gun, which we'll get back to in another video, makes it so that all that brave African resistance is really hopeless and pointless. And finally, in 1880, they carve up Africa. And so it's a rush. The French go into West Africa. You can see it in blue. The British take the kind of yellow, orange, tannish color. I'm not sure what color that is. Egypt, Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, South Africa. The Portuguese are in Angola and Mozambique. The Germans have some concessions there in light green, the Spanish in dark green, and Africa gets carved up just like everything else in the 30 years before this war. So with that finally happening, the Europeans have run out of things to colonize. They've run out of things to conquer. I already kind of mentioned that a bit where we saw America taking Spain's colonies because there was nothing left to take. So once Africa runs out, everybody wants more colonies, but nobody has anything left to take. So the only way to take more colonies is to take them from another European power. For hundreds of years, really. There were conflicts in Europe, but they could get rid of a lot of that energy by going and colonizing other places where they had technological superiority and military superiority because of industrialization, because of machine guns, because of technology like that. And the Europeans just went off and conquered, killed all the enemies. And then they ran out. But taking colonies was what they did. So then all of a sudden they're eyeing each other's colonies. And all of a sudden they're all thinking, because of nationalism, about their own interests. What can we take? What can make us stronger? And this leads to a lot of tension in the days before World War I, because there's nothing else to take without fighting. And that means fighting is more likely to happen because they can't go and fight in colonies. They can't go and fight in South Africa anymore. They've run out of places. So the third reason is militarism, and that goes hand in hand with that, what I've already kind of mentioned. Massive buildup of weapons and massive technological increases. In the Opium Wars, we saw the British show up with their steel steamships and the Congreve rocket launcher, and these super weapons just wrecked the Chinese. In later wars in Africa, the Maxim machine gun is going to come around. I'm going to talk about that more. But again, it's a super weapon. Thousands of African warriors can charge the British, and they're like, okay, too bad, none of us died. And they just gun them down. Incredible firepower. And not only do they have these incredible new weapons, industrialization means they can make hundreds or thousands of machine guns and hundreds or thousands of cannons and hundreds or thousands of rifles. It used to be that it took a lot of work to make these things, but now they can be mass produced. So there's a mass production of weapons. There's a mass production of new weapons. Bigger artillery, bigger battleships, better battleships, and other things that we're going to talk about later. So as we approach World War I, everybody has stockpiled incredible amounts of weapons that the world has never seen. Firepower unheard of. No one has encountered it. None of these little colonial wars prepared them for the massive amount of firepower that they were ready to unleash. And everybody was doing this because, again, the message of those wars was, if I'm not prepared, you're going to destroy me, right? If Germany has machine guns and I don't have machine guns, Germany's going to kill me. If Germany has steel cannons and I don't have steel cannons, look at the Franco-Prussian War. Again, look at these sort of Japanese wars where they brought German cannons and sophisticated battleships and modern tactics and crush China and then crush Russia, two huge empires. So China's trying to get these, Russia's trying to get these, France is trying to get these, England is building these, everyone is doing it, and it's this race for weapons. What it really is escalation, and I don't know of a better way to explain escalation than the way it was explained in Batman. So go back. I believe it's the end of the Christian Bale Batman trilogy, where he's talking to Commissioner Gordon, and they introduce the Joker, who's going to be the villain in The Dark Knight, and they talk about escalation. They say, they bring a knife and you bring a gun. You bring a gun and they bring a bulletproof vest. You bring armor-piercing rounds and they bring a machine gun or a cannon. It goes up and up and up. All of a sudden, they bring a Joker. We have a Batman. There's an escalation. There's a constant increasing. And so everybody has to have what everybody else has and more. And again, as soon as France has more, Germany needs more. And then Britain needs more. And then Russia needs more. And then on and on and on and on it goes. And in the days before World War I, that's what's happening. So all these countries have way more guns than they ever had before. And they don't know what to do with them because these weapons haven't really been tried. And they certainly haven't been used in a war where both sides had them. We'll get back to that later. It's going to be a disaster. Spoiler alert. So, cause number 4 is the systems of alliances. So I'll just zoom in here. I've got some pictures for this one. But basically, it worked like this. You had Serbia, who is there, and he says, if you touch me, I'll mess with you. And Austria says, you make a move, and right behind Austria is Russia, because Russia is Serbia's friend. If you hit that little feller, Serbia, I'll hit you. But behind Russia is Austria's friend, Germany. Well, if you attack Austria, and right behind Germany come France and Britain. Hey, leave Russia alone. Sorry. It's a system. As soon as one person gets attacked, what's happened is in the other wars, there were non-intervention pacts. But after some of those wars, people made new alliances, and it was set up so much so that if anybody got attacked, everybody had to fight. And the idea was, well, so nobody will attack anybody, because everybody's not going to go to war until they do. So when Austria attacks Serbia, which we'll get to in a later video, end here, everybody does get pulled in. That's what happens. Russia mobilizes to protect their friend Serbia. As soon as Russia mobilizes, Germany mobilizes and attacks France because, that makes sense. But anyway, it's part of their plan, and we'll talk about it later. And then so Germany's mobilizing against France, and France is mobilizing against Germany, and then Germany's going to invade through Belgium, and that's going to pull England into the war, which is chaotic. So let me try to break these down. So what you have is what's known as the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente, because they want to be as confusing as possible. And again, I'm going to zoom into my picture. So the Triple Alliance was Italy, Germany, and Austria-Hungary. And around 1882 and 1879, they made a system of agreements that they would be allies. So if anybody attacked them, they would defend each other. Mutual defense pact. Meanwhile, in response to that, you have in 1894 an alliance between Russia and France. This was really important because Russia and France, as I'll show you later, surround Germany on both sides. So if Germany attacks France, now they know Russia's going to attack them from the other side. They're going to be fighting a two-front war. Lesson number 1 in history, never fight a two-front war. Meanwhile, Britain has a treaty with them. That's important. Britain doesn't need to actually agree with this treaty. Sorry, Bulgaria and Serbia, a little more complicated. We're not really going to get there. And that's where Belgium comes in, because Britain doesn't actually have to enter World War I. And if Germany had played its cards a little differently, Britain might not have entered World War I. It seems, from hindsight, like, of course they were going to enter World War I. Naturally, they were on the Allies' side. They were France's friend. But wars are really expensive. And one of the reasons that Britain became so powerful is because they avoided the wars of the continent for hundreds of years. And without an alliance forcing them to, they might well have said, sit this one out. Have fun, guys. I'll trade with everybody. That's largely how the United States reacts. They're across the sea, and they're like, oh, why do we care about Europe? England is protected by the English Channel, and this isn't World War II, so there's a good chance they won't, except that there's a really old treaty, a 75-year-old treaty with Belgium, and Germany decides to step on that and invade through Belgium, and that makes England have to join the war, and that quite possibly is the biggest mistake Germany made in the war. Avoiding breaking that treaty, if England hadn't joined, would have seriously tipped the balance of power. Now, you'll notice here I have another term, the Central Powers versus the Allied Powers, because World War I has to be as confusing as possible. So, in addition to the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente, which you know is the one with France in it because it sounds French, you have the Central Powers and the Allied Powers. Now, this actually makes more sense because the Central Powers, as you see in this picture, are in the middle of Europe, and the Allied Powers surround them. Now, again, that puts the Central Powers at a disadvantage because they are naturally going to have to fight a two-front war. Germany will be fighting France and Russia at the same time. Austria-Hungary will be fighting France or Italy and Russia at the same time, and largely Serbia at the same time, actually a three-front war. And that means they have to divide their forces, whereas Russia can put all their troops attacking Germany, and France can put all their troops attacking Germany. It makes things more difficult. Now, you'll notice also that Italy is part of the Allied powers, but it was part of the Triple Alliance with Germany, Austria-Hungary. It betrayed them. Never trust the Italians. Second lesson for the day. Okay, but again, is this a fair fight? In that map, it kind of looks like it. But let's zoom out to the world. And now let's look. All the green is going to be the Allied powers and their colonies. And all the yellow is the Central powers and their colonies. Who do you think is going to win? In terms of real power, this is not a fair division of the world. But last and not least, the fifth cause, the assassination of the Archduke Franz. So all of this didn't necessarily need to start a war, because if nobody had actually gone to war, it wouldn't have happened. And even the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand didn't need to start a war. Diplomats could have talked it out. Austria probably could have just invaded Serbia right away and gotten away with a one-sided war. People dithered. Alliances went into effect, and the World War started. So how did this happen? Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He was next in line to become the emperor. He went to the Balkans, and he gets assassinated by terrorists from a group called the Black Hand, which is the greatest terrorist name in all of history. And when they kill him, they're Serbian terrorists, but they're terrorists. They're not the Serbian government. Austria makes a bunch of outrageous demands on Serbia. Serbia says no. Austria waits a month and then declares war. And when they do, Russia mobilizes, Germany mobilizes, everybody mobilizes. And so this guy's death causes World War I.